Attack on Titan Season 2. That's right, guys. I watched the entire season in one day, and now I'd like nothing more than to discuss it with y'all. Spoilers from here on out, by the way. So, right off the bat, just like the end of Season 1 promised, evil is close by. More specifically, there are Titans inside the wall, which is apparently hollow on the inside. Who knew? Well, the church certainly did. This season immediately sets an unsettling tone, given that yet again, after one step forward, our heroes have taken another step back. This isn't all, though, as apparently Wall of Rose has been breached, which, if true, all but seals the doom of humanity. The commander sends out the scouts to deal with the problem, but they soon discover that even still, all is not what it seems. One group of scouts, including Krista, Ymir, Connie, Bertolt, and Reiner, come across a gigantic, hairy titan with not only intelligence but the ability to speak as well as to command other titans. He orders titans to swarm their location, leading to the shocking reveal that one of these scouts, Ymir, has the ability to transform into a titan, much like Eren. We later learn that two others in the group, Bertolt and Reiner, also have this ability and are the colossal and armored titans respectively. They capture Ymir and Eren and attempt to bring them to their homeland for some mysterious reason. We see Bertolt's split personalities driving him insane, and that both of them, while truly seeing the scouts as friends, still choose to fight them, and consequently all of humanity, an act they acknowledge is immoral. The scouts lead an epic rescue attempt in which, at great cost, they rescue Eren, while Ymir decides to stay with the enemy. In this battle, they discover the true reason they abducted Eren, that being that he, like the Beast Titan, can command Titans. Unfortunately, it is also revealed that, given there was no hole in the wall, as well as the lack of bodies in a ravaged town, that the Titans they have been killing all this time are indeed human beings. So, one major gripe about How Season 1 was the fact that the plot was dragged out to meet a certain number of episodes. That season had 25 episodes, while this season shrinks that number down to 12. This allowed them to tell a far more concise and exciting story, one that had many highs, but also one colossal, get it, wasted opportunity. In my review for Season 1, I focused on characters for a considerable amount of time. I mentioned how many characters there were, but mainly focused on my favorites. This season, the first half in particular, focuses more on the smaller characters from the first season, even dedicating an entire episode to Connie's character arc. Of course, the real breadwinner of that episode was Sasha, aka Potato Girl. I don't know why, but I've always been especially fond of the comedic relief characters in shows, such as Amethyst from Steven Universe. Therefore, it legitimately made my day to see Potato Girl get her moment in the spotlight. We also get to learn more about Ymir. We see her selfish ways get her kicked outside the wall, an event that somehow makes her into a Titan, which she roamed as for decades until devouring a human, somehow freeing her from her captivity to being a Titan. There is no darker path to freedom than that. She's selfish. She's a compulsive liar, but she finds solace in her friend Krista, the short blonde who's nice to everyone, even someone as self-serving as Ymir. We see Ymir save a man by becoming a Titan in order to please Krista, and we see her reveal her secret in order to save Krista. It's here that we learn Krista is really the illegitimate daughter of a member of the church, and that her real name is Historia, hence the namesake of that episode. The way this reveal and its consequences were handled in the episode Historia, as well as the episode before it, was astonishing, and really won me over to these characters I previously knew little about. And after the sequence at the end with Mikasa saving Historia at the last second as music begins to play, which then loudens as the scouts cut the Titans down by jumping down all of them around them, was just absolutely epic, leading me to immediately rewind that episode to watch that part again. It gave me chills both times. We also get some insight into Connie's character as well. as it was the people from his village, including his mother, that were turned into Titans by some unknown entity, perhaps the Beast Titan? His reaction to this was unnerving, and I really felt for the kid. I only hope that as we learn more about this mystery in the seasons to come, Connie takes a prominent role in the investigation. Again, the animation, music, and English voiceover were top-notch, at least from what I could tell. The animation captured every disgusting, epic, and beautiful moment the season had to offer, with quality voiceover and beautifully epic music to boot. Now, before I say anything else, I think it's time to bring up the season's greatest flaw. The reveal that Bertolt and Reiner are the colossal and armored titans. This reveal was in the episode immediately following Historia, an episode that, as I said, masterfully presented Ymir's reveal and the motivation behind it. Thus, the Bertolt-Reiner reveal, given its far greater importance to the story at large, needed to be something spectacular. Don't get me wrong though, I would have totally been ready to forgive the show if it fell short of this, and it did, but I only would have forgiven it if it was even half as good as Ymir's. Unfortunately, it's not, and in my opinion, it's one of the most poorly executed reveals I've ever seen on television. I really liked these two, Reiner in particular, which meant that this reveal could have been extremely emotional. However, rather than building the tension beforehand, or having it revealed in some shocking manner, Bertolt and Reiner literally just admit to it, saying, "Yeah, we're the Titans, come with us please." The way this was animated too, with the camera pulled back and everyone else walking away, was in my mind a complete joke. Unlike the female Titan, I had never once suspected them of anything, leaving me feeling robbed of an epic scene after watching this unfold. Even worse was Aaron's pathetic refusal to accept this fact, even after Reiner admitted to it. On top of this, we even see a flashback to the scouts discussing Reiner's betrayal as a possibility just the night before, then return to the scene to see Aaron still refusing to accept this fact. Even Reiner was dumbfounded by this. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the upside. Immediately afterwards, Aaron and the Armored Titan have an epic fight in which Aaron even gains the upper hand. He would have won had the Colossal Titan not fallen onto him. His abduction also leads to an incredible character moment for Mikasa, Armin, and Haynes. Forgive me if I'm saying his name wrong. If you do not know, Haynes is the man who was too much of a coward to save Aaron's mom, and he chose instead to get the kids to safety. This was back in the very first episode. He reminds the fearful Armin and terrified Mikasa that Aaron has always managed to fight his own battles until backup arrived, and that their job was to make sure it eventually would. The scene was absolutely beautiful, especially after the more than fitting flashback to Aaron standing up to his childhood bullies. I also have to say, that moment when Mikasa picked up the scarf Aaron gave to her and wrapped it around her like he once did left me in tears. Something this show had yet to accomplish, even with how dark and heartbreaking it tends to be. The scene when the other scouts arrive and they all charge out towards Aaron with that incredible music blasting the headphones was just icing on the cake of this already incredible episode. The episode ended right after that and I was left with goosebumps. Bertolt and Reiner's regret for their past and present actions in the following episode was quite jarring, given that they were continuing to hurt people when even they admit they had come to love these very people in their years undercover. Ymir's capitalization on this was quite cool as well, something that led to the climactic season-ending attack on the Titans. The commander's charge, saying that this was the make it or break it moment for humanity, was jaw-dropping, and even more so was the man's refusal to die despite getting his arm bitten off. Historia's dedication to Ymir, while perhaps misguided given Ymir's new allegiances, was a shock. Her selflessness truly knows no bounds, a stark contrast to the woman she was standing beside. No wonder even Reiner wants to marry her. Sure, it was a shame not to see Captain Levi in action here, but his absence is perfectly understandable given his previous injury. Besides, his presence would have made the battle far easier to win. Not to mention that Mikasa was a perfect stand-in. Speaking of Mikasa, it's now time to discuss what I think was the best part of the entire series thus far. Recall that in my review for Season 1, I wanted Eren's rage and the motivations behind it to be challenged. Something that finally happens here in the final episode of the season. So, Haynes was the man who failed to save Eren's mother from being devoured by the Titan in the first episode. Rather than doing so, he got Eren and Mikasa to safety, which, while the right call, was quite cowardly, something that haunted him ever since. In this episode, though, that very Titan enters the fray, and Haynes does not hesitate to make up for his sin in order to redeem himself. Rather than retreat with Eren and Mikasa again, this time he charges forward, ready to fight. It is here that his character arc has finally been completed, and while heartbreaking to see, the time for his death was at hand. It kind of reminds me of Black Widow's death in Endgame, a death that, while it broke my heart, fit her story perfectly. It is here that, much like when his mother was eaten, Eren desperately tries to fight, biting his hand so hard that blood gushes out, but is unable to transform into a Titan to save his old friend, who he then has to watch die. This scene floored me, especially when Eren began to laugh hysterically at the irony of it all, reminiscent of a certain Breaking Bad episode. However, unlike Walter White, Eren has someone there for him, the same someone who always is, Mikasa. The camera zoomed out so we can see all the Titans swarming the area, with our heroes pinned on all sides. Like the commander said, this mission was humanity's final stand, and all seems lost. And rather than focus on anger like the Season 1 finale did, this episode brushes the entire fight aside to focus on one thing: love. Mikasa tells Eren that even though he could not save Haynes, he's anything but worthless. When she had nobody left in the world, he was there by her side. When she was afraid, he inspired her to keep fighting. When she was cold, he was always there to give her his scarf and wrap it around her. For all this, here at humanity's likely end, rather than get up and fight, she sits there and thanks Eren for everything he has done for her. As she does, we see this light creep over this dark battlefield, and Eren, in tears after hearing this, stands up and firmly swears to always be there to wrap her scarf around her. He swears to slay the Titan coming for them, a statement that sends all the other Titans after it, and then again after the armored Titan when Eren focuses on it. I find it fitting that while anger granted him the ability to utilize one Titan in the previous season, love granted him the ability to influence them all. This is such a beautiful, triumphant way to end this absolutely incredible season of television. Honestly, if it weren't for the lackluster reveal of the identities of the Colossal and Armored Titans, I would have given this season a 10 out of 10. In the end though, despite this one letdown, the rest of the season builds on what came before in such amazing ways that I cannot give this season anything less than a 9.5 out of 10. Its only relevant flaw being the said reveal. Anyways, this has been my review for Attack on Titan Season 2. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please be sure to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe either, because not too long from now, I'll have my review up for Season 3, then Season 4 once it's over. So, anyways, y'all have a good day, and I'll see you next time.